What's going on, guys? MMA Outlaw back here with another video, and today we're going to be breaking down every single fight that happened last night. UFC Winnipeg, Canada. We came to you, Mike Malott, your boy, proper Mike Malott, got the absolutely insane third round KO over Gilbert Burns, absolutely dominating him, and we will talk about that. But we're going to start with the first prelim of the night. Let me move my face over here, which was Jamie Surratt versus John Yanez. And let's just say I was absolutely wrong on this pick. Jamie Surratt only got off 6 strikes, and John Yanez just looked like the more powerful guy in there. Jamie Surratt looked like he was a little bit scared to engage, and John Yanez got him out of there early. A very impressive win for the bantamweight John Yanez. And we do remember, John Yanez, his first fight in the UFC was at 145. And so now he's coming down to 135. Maybe he'll have a little bit more pop in his shots. Maybe this is really the division that suits him best. And so Jamie Surratt taking the L. We start the night 0 for 1 on predictions. Not what we want to see, but an entertaining fight nonetheless, and a great way to start the UFC Canada card, even though your Canadian went down in fight number 1. And so moving onward, we got John Castaneda versus Mark Volodin. And let's just say, and guys, I want you to know I'm trying a new video software out here, so bear with me if things are not going as they planned. But John Castaneda versus Mark Volodin. I mean, Mark Volodin, I believe he won this fight here. I thought he won the fight 2-1, particularly with the point deduction. If the point was taken, I thought Mark should have absolutely won this fight. I thought Mark, he put up a solid scrap there in the third round despite losing it, but I really did thought he won rounds 1 and 2. We can see the significant strikes or the total strikes here. 28 to 29, it was very competitive, but Mark was coming forward, bringing the pace. Same thing here. Really, really put on an absolute show with John Castaneda losing that point in round 2. We saw that last kind of like 30 to 45 seconds. You don't see that. You really do not see that anymore in MMA, right? Mark Volodin pointed down with 40 seconds left and started absolutely winging punches. And if Mark Volodin keeps doing this, he's not going to have a very long UFC career. Not because he's not a good fighter and he can't fight, but because, man, no one can survive fighting like that. No one can survive fighting in that freaking way. But Mark Volodin, an incredible fight put on for the fans, and a draw. So we moved to 0-1 and 1. I thought the underdog should have gotten it done, but we move onward. Anyway, great fight, very entertaining for the fans. Jamie Lynn Horth versus JJ Aldrich. And guys, this was probably the worst robbery I have seen in my life. If you look at the verdict scorecards, the verdict scorecard had Jamie Lynn Horth winning 3-0, and all 3 judges gave the fight to JJ Aldrich. How the hell does that happen? UFC, the judging, it needs to be better. That's insane how wrong they got this fight, right? We look at the total strikes. Round 1, absolutely dominant from Jamie Lynn Horth. Round 2, again, dominant from Jamie Lynn Horth. Round 3, a little bit closer, but dominant for Jamie Lynn Horth. How JJ Aldrich managed to squeak out a win there, I do not understand. The judges had to be watching a different fight than we were, because the whole MMA community thought Jamie Lynn Horth won. And Verdict's new app, it has some great things, and it tested how much people thought it was a robbery. And people were saying it was the worst robbery of the year. And so JJ Aldrich gets the win. Our prediction is wrong. We moved to 0-2 and 1. But man, that should have been a victory. I want a refund, FanDuel. That is ridiculous. Jamie Lynn Horth absolutely won that fight. And so, moving onward, Melissa Croden versus Daria Zlesnikova. Nothing really to say here. This fight happened exactly how we anticipated it happening. Melissa Croden got the job done by decision. But Daria Zlesnikova looked really, really good on the feet in round 1. But Melissa Croden started to mix it up in rounds 2 and rounds 3. Absolutely took over the fight late. You see round 1 dominated by Daria Zlesnikova. Round 2, Melissa Croden came back, absolutely got a takedown. And then round 3, more of the same. Melissa Croden getting the job done by unanimous decision, 29-28, getting us our first prediction right of the night. Man, we moved to 1-2 and 1, even though we should have been much better. Good scrap by Melissa Croden, entertaining. kind of entertaining for a women's bantamweight fight. But, a great win for Melissa Croden, and she continues to move up the rankings. Daria Seleshnikova, when she fights strikers who can't take her down, she's in very, very, very entertaining fights. But Daria, nonetheless, fell to Melissa Croden in this spot, and we got it correct. So, Gohan Sarikam versus Tanner Boser. And man, this fight was so entertaining. Tanner Boser with a chin of steel. I am shocked he lasted this long, taking some of Gohan's best shots. Man, Tanner Boser in the big 2-6. That's what I told you guys. Tanner Boser in the big 2-6. That would be absolutely diabolical. But Tanner Boser could not get the job done. Gohan absolutely unloaded. You see this, right? 145 strikes attempted. 79 significant strikes landed. Or 79 total strikes landed. I apologize. 57 significant strikes. But that's a great pace for a heavyweight fight. And you know that's what Tanner Boser is going to make you do. He's going to make you kind of bring the pace, bring the pressure. And that's what Gohan did. A great performance. Got the job done here. And very, very, very happy with Gohan Sarikam. And so, moving onward, Robert Valentin versus Julian LeBlanc. And let me just tell you, Julian LeBlanc is an embarrassment to every single Canadian. That was one of the most soy performances I have ever seen in my life. Are you kidding me, Julian LeBlanc? That was horrible. That was horrible. Canadian fans were out there supporting you. You expect, some fight, some fire from Julian LeBlanc. Absolutely not. Robert Valentin gets the job done by submission, takes him down, works him absolutely easily. And Robert Valentin is not the most talented fighter. Let's be honest. Neither of these guys are UFC level. Neither of them. And so the fact that this fight went on for as long as it did, not very long, and Julian LeBlanc was on the losing side and it was one-way traffic tells me one thing. Julian LeBlanc, you are absolutely horrible. And so Robert Valentin gets the submission win. You heard the emotional speech afterward. His mom passed away. Very, very, very sad. 1 week ago in training camp, said he had a lot on his mind. He's very, very motivated coming into this fight. And so Robert Valentin, great job getting the submission victory. Very, very happy for Robert Valentin. But I will say, come on, Julian LeBlanc. We got to be better. We got to be better. And I don't know if he's going to last very long. In fact, I know he's not going to last very long in the UFC because Robert Valentin is not very good. And so we move onward. Mauricio Barbosa versus Dennis Bazooka, and a great, great scrap here. Mauricio Barbosa has that one hitter quitter. You see this 4 significant strikes landed, but it didn't matter because he put him out cold. He put him out cold. That KO was absolutely nasty. Was excited to see Mauricio Barbosa. Let's just say he was a minus 500 favorite for a reason. We took him to win by KO at minus 170. If someone's minus 170 to win by KO, let's just say it is probably going to happen. And we absolutely cashed that ticket. Mauricio Barbosa dominated Dennis Bazooka absolutely as he should have, and a great performance by Mauricio Barbosa. Nothing much to say here. He's got that one hitter quitter power, and I really want to see him actually get tested here and see what happens if he's taken into deep waters. But a wonderful UFC debut coming into the UFC with a bang. And so, Gage Young versus Thiago Moises, the main card opener. This was an incredibly entertaining fight. I really don't know how a judge had the fight scored for Thiago Moises. Thiago Moises, he's good. And we saw that in round 1. But Thiago Moises, I don't know what it is, but if he's just old or it's miles on the body, because he really isn't that old. He's, 31 years old? But Gage Young just looks so much fresher. Thiago Moises started getting out off the takedowns in round 1. Definitely won round 1 because of those takedowns. And you thought, man, this could be a long night for Gage Young if he's not able to keep Thiago Moises off of him. But Thiago Moises, he was not able to get the takedowns off in round 2. Gage Young had some great sprawls. You see we'll show you guys the round by round stats. Round 1, pretty much dominated by Thiago Moises because of the grappling. It was a close round, but dominated because of the grappling. Gage Young, it was kind of one-way traffic there in the second. Thiago Moises was shooting for takedowns. He couldn't get him. Gage Young with some incredible sprawls. And you could see he started to feel himself a little bit, rip into the body. Very, very, very good performance. Very good striking. And in round 3, Gage Young just absolutely just started to take over. He dropped Thiago Moises. I don't know if they counted it as a knockdown, but he dropped Thiago Moises at least twice. Didn't elect to follow him up. Started showboating a little bit. I would have liked to see him kind of pounce on him just a little bit more. Dominated the third round though, and so Gage Young fight played out exactly how we expected. Thiago Moises gets beat by Gage Young. Gage Young wins rounds 2 and rounds 3. Split decision. I was a little bit nervous, I'm not going to lie, but Gage Young absolutely the right side there. And so Jasmine Jasudavicius versus Karine Silva, a unanimous decision versus Jasmine. And once let's just say, as we knew, once Jasmine gets this fight to the ground, it was going to be wraps. Jasmine Jasudavicius is the much better ground fighter here. And so once she got those takedowns off and started landing some of those significant strikes, really, really beating up Karine Silva, she was just able to pull away from her. And in that third round, you would kind of tell the takedowns had worn on Karine Silva. And that's when, if we click on the round 3 stats, that's when Jasmine Jasudavicius really started to let the hands go on the feet. She was moving forward, had Karine Silva back against the cage. And when she was able to do that, she had a lot of success striking. And so an incredibly impressive performance by Jasmine Jasudavicius. The Canadian parlay absolutely smacked with Jasmine and Mike Malott. And so very, very happy. Another prediction correct. And, honestly, for what it was, a relatively entertaining performance from Jasmine Jasudavicius, really let the hands go on the ground, and in that third round, really, really started to work. Karine Silva, once Jasmine Jasudavicius got past those initial submission attempts and past the reversals, Karine Silva really started to get tired, and Jasmine took over the fight as she does. And so, moving onward, Mandel Nalo versus Jai Herbert. And this was one of the craziest fights we have seen in years. I don't know how this fight did not get fight of the night. This was a nuts one. I don't know. I don't feel like Dana White wasn't even watching the fights. If you didn't give Mandel Nalo versus Jai Herbert the fight of the night, what was the fight of the night? Mandel Nalo comes out there and knocks Jai Herbert down, not once, but twice up against the cage. He starts to get really confident, letting the hands go, but you see Jai Herbert is still with it a little bit, and Jai Herbert started swinging big old overhands, big old meaty hooks, and eventually he lands one on Mandel Nalo, and Mandel Nalo gets dropped. He's nearly out. Jai Herbert's following up, trying to beat him up, right? Mandel Nalo just surviving on the ground, eventually gets back up. You think, does Mandel Nalo have a chance? Is it possible? Can he kind of get his wits about him and stay up standing? And Jai Herbert lands another big strike, puts Mandel Nalo down. Man, this was a sad performance for Canada. I know Canada was sad because there was a lot of hype around Mandel Nalo, and he looked very, very good early on. I think maybe he got a little bit too overconfident, thought he was just going to be able to dominate Jai Herbert, and that is not what happened. Jai Herbert showed everyone, hey, if you're in trouble, sometimes you just got to start swinging back. Just start swinging. An incredibly impressive performance from Jai Herbert. Very, very good for him. Getting back in winning ways. Everyone remembers him for kind of landing that head kick on Ilia Topuria and knocking him down. But Jai Herbert, probably not going to go very far in this UFC lightweight division. But Mandel Nalo has to get back on the horse. Great win by Jai Herbert. Not going to take anything from him. But man, Mandel Nalo, you had it. You had that one. And so, moving onward to the co-main event, Charles Jourdain versus Kyler Phillips. This fight was an absolute scrap. I was a little bit worried, I won't lie. Our prediction, Charles Jourdain in that first round was getting taken down and controlled by Kyler Phillips. In that second round, Charles Jourdain really started to put the pace on him. I thought Jourdain definitely won round 2. Round 3 was a really, really close one, but again, I think Jourdain was able to pull away, and you see the takedowns strongly on the side of Kyler Phillips, the control time strongly on the side of Kyler Phillips, but I do think it really means something because Charles Jourdain is always going forward. He's always throwing big strikes. In that third round, the flying knee landed finally after getting taken down 4 times off of it. That's probably an exaggeration, but he cut open Kyler Phillips, and I really think that's what gave him round 3. If you look at the round by round, round 1 dominated by Kyler Phillips just because of that control time. Round 2, Charles Jourdain really started to put the pressure on. Kyler Phillips, again, trying to work in takedowns, did a very, very good job. They had a very, very good game plan, Kyler Phillips, in his camp, because Jourdain really did look off. Jourdain was struggling with some of the timing and the distance as well, and Kyler Phillips was getting the takedowns off. But round 3, that big cut happened. Again, Jourdain couldn't get any takedowns. Kyler Phillips was relatively successful at one point, but you could see Kyler Phillips was a little bit tired. He kind of fought through that. Jourdain had to be a little bit tired as well, but I thought Jourdain was slightly more active, moved forward a little bit more, and did just more damage in rounds 2 and rounds 3. And so that's why I gave this fight 29-28 to Charles Jourdain. The judges agreed with me, so my decision and my pick was absolutely correct. Jourdain won the fight 29-28. Very, very happy there. And then the main event of the evening, Gilbert Burns versus the proper Mike Malott. An incredible performance by Mike Malott. Absolutely dominated every single round of this fight. If we look at round 1, that was the closest round. Gilbert Burns was getting off some good leg kicks, and I was thinking, is Gilbert Burns going to be able to do this? But Mike Malott definitely still won round 1. His boxing stayed very, very tight, but it was a very, very close first round. You saw Gilbert Burns go for a few takedowns, was unsuccessful. Mike Malott's takedown defense, man, it looked very, very good. Gilbert had some crappy shots. He had some good shots, though, as well. And Mike Malott stood tall, did not give up a single takedown. I believe it was 0 for 7 for Gilbert on takedowns. Then Mike Malott really started to kind of pull away a little bit in this second round. He started to finally find, I think it was the rear uppercut. That rear uppercut was really, really nasty. Some of the shots were starting to get around the guard of Gilbert Durino Burns, and that's really what happened in round 3. Round 3 was one-way traffic. Mike Malott was able to find some shots, some hooks, and that rear hand uppercut really started to land on the mark for Mike Malott on Gilbert Burns. Mike Malott was able to get him out of there. After dropping him once, he kind of let him back up. I really enjoyed and I appreciated the patience that we saw from Mike Malott. That was a very, very, very smart game plan, smart way to fight. Knocked Gilbert down once, let him get back up. Kind of landed a few follow-up shots, but let him get back up. Then he got Gilbert Burns again for a second time, put Gilbert down. Once he put Gilbert down that second time, it was absolute wraps. He followed up. The ref jumped in. Herb Dean came in, stopped the contest. Mike Malott with an incredible, incredible knockout win. And so let's review how all of the picks did on this card. As we always do, we're reviewing Gilbert Burns versus Mike Malott. How did our picks do? We had Mike Malott, and we had the fight to end by KO, and we had Mike Malott to win by KO. And so the best bets were 2-0 on that fight, but 1-0 on the predictions. Charles Jourdain got the job done for us. We moved to 2-0. Mandel Nalo lost for us. Mandel Nalo. We moved to 2-1. Jasmine Jasdavicius got the win for us. 3-1. Gage Young, 4-1. Mauricio Barbosa moves us to 5-1. Robert Valentin getting the win moves us to 5-2 because we lose there. Gohan Srikham moves us to 6-2. Melissa Croden moves us to 7-2. The biggest robbery of the year moves us to 7-3. The draw moves us to 7-3-1 and 7-4-1. I really did think our picks were pretty solid, though. The best bets absolutely were wonderful. Mike Malott, Jasmine Jasdavicius parlay. Mike Malott to win by KO. This fight to end by KO. Charles Jourdain on the money line. Mandel Nalo on the money line did lose. Gage Young on the money line was a victory. We had Gohan Srikham on the money line. We had Melissa Croden on the money line. We did have Jamie Lynn Horth on the money line. So we only had 2 losses out of what I believe was 9 bets. And so a 7-2 best bets performance on the Gilbert Burns versus, let me get my face out of here, on the Gilbert Burns versus Mike Malott fight. And Gilbert Burns got his retirement moment. Canada, you guys were very, very kind to Gilbert. It was honestly pretty impressive chanting, Gilbert, Gilbert, Gilbert. Very, very, very impressive from the Canadian fans. Nothing but class as we've come to expect from Canada. But man, it was sad to see Gilbert Burns go down. 5 straight losses for Gilbert, but an incredible win for the prospect, your boy, Mike Malott. And so, if you enjoy content just like this, make sure you like and subscribe. Smash that like button. We're on the road to 100 subs. And let me know what you guys thought about the fights in the comments section. Hey, also, if you can, let me know how the video quality was. If you like this new software, I know I'm a square now instead of a circle. I don't know how I'm doing it, but trying to learn new things. So let me know in the comments section. But I'll catch you guys on the next one. Make sure you smash that like button. I'll see you later. Peace.